Introduction: the hidden war inside every trader. Most traders don't lose because of strategy. They lose because of psychology. That sentence might sound surprising, maybe even uncomfortable, but if you've ever sat in front of your trading screen, heart pounding, palms sweaty, and your brain screaming one thing while your fingers do the complete opposite, you already know it's true. Think about it. The internet is overflowing with free strategies, indicators, and step-by-step blueprints. You can copy professional setups in seconds. You can buy trading robots, follow signals, or even mirror successful traders. Yet 90% of people still fail. Why? Because the real battle isn't on the charts. It's inside your mind. And no, trading isn't about predicting the market. It's about mastering yourself while the market constantly tests you. The market is like a giant mirror. It reflects back your fear, your greed, your impatience, and your need for control. You can memorize candlestick patterns. You can backtest for months. You can read 20 trading books. But the moment you place real money into the market, something changes. Suddenly, that neat strategy feels impossible to follow. Suddenly, you cut winners too early, let losers run, revenge trade, over-leverage, or freeze and do nothing. That's because trading psychology isn't about knowledge. It's about identity, wiring, and emotions that were formed long before you ever opened a trading account. In fact, every time you enter the market, three invisible forces are fighting inside you. The logical side, armed with strategies and rules. The emotional side, driven by fear of loss and greed for gain. And the survival side, the deepest, most powerful part of your brain, whose only mission is to protect you from pain. And when these forces clash, logic almost always loses. Here's the dark truth nobody tells you. Traders don't fail because they're bad at trading. They fail because they become excellent at unconscious self-sabotage. Maybe this sounds familiar. You promise yourself to stick to your plan, then abandon it the very next day. You swear you'll never over-leverage again, then double your position on the next setup. You hit your daily profit target, but instead of stopping, you keep going until you give it all back. This isn't just bad discipline. This is programming. It's years of hidden beliefs about money, fear, and self-worth surfacing every time you risk something real. It's why trading becomes an addiction for some. It's why smart, logical people lose everything while chasing just one more trade. It's why the same trader who succeeds in business or academics completely falls apart when staring at a chart. Self-sabotage in trading is the silent epidemic. Most people don't even realize they're doing it. They blame the market, their broker, the strategy, or bad luck. But deep down, they're repeating the same cycle until their account, and sometimes their confidence in life, is destroyed. This audiobook is about breaking that cycle. It's not another lesson on candlestick patterns or moving averages. It's not about giving you a magic system. Instead, this is about pulling back the curtain on the hidden war inside every trader. By the time you finish, you'll understand. Rewire 1. Why discipline isn't your real problem. Identity is. You'll learn how your self-image secretly controls every trade you make. 2. The real reason you sabotage profitable trades. From childhood money trauma to hidden fears, will uncover the roots of your behavior. 3. How your brain fights itself during trading. We'll break down the battle between survival, emotional, and logical systems in your mind. 4. Why trading can become an addiction and how to escape it. We'll expose the dopamine trap and give you tools to reframe your trading as a business. 5. Practical tools to rewire your psychology. Journaling, visualization, identity training, and exercises to strengthen your mental edge. 6. How to shift from self-sabotage to mastery. You'll discover how to think like professionals, focus on years instead of days, and build a trader's identity that lasts, tone setting the journey ahead. If you've ever blown an account and felt ashamed, if you've ever promised yourself you'd trade smarter tomorrow, only to fall into the same trap again. If you've ever felt like you were your own worst enemy in the markets, this audiobook is for you. Because the truth is, you're not broken. You don't need to keep searching for the perfect indicator. You don't need to copy someone else's trades. You need to uncover, understand, and rewire the hidden patterns in your psychology. Self-mastery isn't easy, but it's possible. And the best traders in the world know this secret. It's not about outsmarting the market, it's about outsmarting yourself. So here's my challenge to you as you begin this journey. Don't just listen to these words, live them, reflect on them. Pause when something hits home and write it down. Apply the exercises, confront the uncomfortable truths. Because if you do, this audiobook won't just change the way you trade, it will change the way you think, act, and even see yourself. Remember, the market doesn't beat you, your mind does. And when you master your mind, the market will finally follow. Chapter 1. Identity Sabotage. Why discipline isn't enough. Most traders believe their biggest problem is discipline. They think, if I could just stick to my plan, if I could just stop breaking my rules, if I could just stay consistent, I'd finally succeed. It sounds logical, but here's the hard truth. Discipline alone isn't enough. You don't fail because you lack discipline. You fail because your identity isn't aligned with the trader you're trying to become. Think about it. Your behavior always bends to match the story you tell yourself about who you are. If deep down you see yourself as reckless or unlucky or someone who always sabotages success, then no amount of discipline will save you. You'll always find a way back to that identity. That's why strategies fail. Not because they're bad, but because the trader behind them hasn't changed their inner wiring. The myth of discipline. Let's break the myth. Discipline is like a bandage. It can hold things together temporarily, but it doesn't heal the wound. Sure, you can force yourself to follow a set of rules for a few days, maybe even a few weeks. You can grit your teeth and swear you won't overtrade. You can lock yourself in with strict stop losses and daily limits. But eventually, the pressure builds up and the real you comes out. If your identity is misaligned, discipline cracks. You'll cheat the rules, rationalize bad decisions, and blow up your plan the moment emotions run high. It's like trying to go on a diet when deep down you believe you're just not the kind of person who eats healthy. You can follow a meal plan for a short while, but your identity drags you back. The same thing happens in trading. Discipline is useful, but it's fragile if it doesn't come from a deeper identity shift. How identity controls behavior. Your identity is like a thermostat. Imagine you set the thermostat in your house to 22 degrees Celsius. Even if the temperature rises or falls for a while, the thermostat always brings it back to the set point. That's how your identity works. If your internal thermostat is set to, I'm an inconsistent trader, then even if you have a few good weeks, you'll unconsciously sabotage yourself until you're back at inconsistency. Core. Identity is powerful because it works unconsciously. You don't even notice it happening. Your brain craves consistency with the story you tell about yourself. If your results ever climb above your identity level, you'll feel uncomfortable and bring them down. If they drop below, you'll work hard to pull them back up. This is why lottery winners often lose everything. Within a few years, their financial identity never rose to match their sudden wealth. And it's why most traders, no matter how much they learn, keep circling back to the same losses. Trader archetypes. Let's make this more concrete by looking at some trader archetypes. These are identities traders unconsciously adopt. 1. The gambler. This trader craves the thrill. They know the rules but constantly over-leverage, chase trades, and roll the dice. Deep down, they don't want consistency, they want excitement. 2. The perfectionist. This trader believes there's always a perfect entry. They hesitate, overanalyze, and miss opportunities because they fear being wrong. Their identity is tied to, I must never lose. Ironically, that makes them lose more. 3. The victim. This trader blames the broker, the strategy, the market, even the news. Their identity is built on powerlessness. Because they see themselves as unlucky, they unconsciously sabotage any chance at success. 4. The professional. This trader doesn't see the market as a casino, but as a business. Their identity is built on patience, consistency, and long-term thinking. They don't chase thrills. They play the probabilities and trust the process. The difference between these traders isn't strategy, it's identity. The same strategy in the hands of a gambler will blow up an account, In the hands of a professional, it becomes a tool for steady profit, a story of identity conflict. Let me tell you a story. David was a bright trader. He studied the markets for years, bought every course, memorized strategies inside out. On paper, he was ready to succeed, but every time he gained a little momentum, he'd sabotage himself. He'd abandon his plan, take oversized risks, or close trades too early. At first, David thought it was discipline. He told himself, I just need to be stricter. I just need to control myself. But the harder he tried, the worse it got. One day during a coaching session, he admitted something. I've always been the guy who messes things up at the last minute, in school, in jobs, even in relationships. It's like I'm not used to winning. That was the breakthrough. David realized his identity was stuck in the role of the almost successful guy. Subconsciously, he didn't believe he deserved consistent success. So even with the best strategy, his mind dragged him back to his old set point. When David started working on his identity, visualizing himself as a professional, reframing his self-talk, and changing the way he saw losses, his trading transformed. Not overnight, but steadily. His strategies didn't change. His identity did. The key lesson. So here's the lesson. You must fix the identity before you fix the strategy. If you keep seeing yourself as reckless, emotional, or unlucky, then that's who you'll be in the markets. You can't out-discipline your identity. You can't out-strategize it. But if you shift your identity to, I am a professional trader who follows my edge, then your actions will begin to match that story. Discipline becomes natural. Rules stop feeling like chains and start feeling like who you are. This is why some traders, once they make the shift, suddenly find trading easier. It's not because the market got simpler, it's because their inner thermostat changed. So ask yourself, who am I as a trader? Not who you want to be, but who you really believe you are right now. If your current identity isn't aligned with success, that's the real problem to solve. Your identity will either sabotage you or set you free. The choice is yours. Chapter 2. Childhood Wiring and Money Trauma. When you sit down to trade, it might feel like you're battling charts, indicators, or the market itself. But the truth is, much of the battle is happening inside of you long before the trade is ever placed. And the roots of that battle? They often stretch back to childhood. The way you think about money, risk, and reward didn't just appear the first day you opened a trading account. It was planted years ago in your earliest experiences with money. Those experiences form what psychologists call money scripts, unconscious beliefs that quietly dictate your financial decisions as an adult. And here's the kicker. Those childhood scripts don't care about your strategy. They don't care about probabilities or edge. They simply replay themselves over and over until you become aware of them and deliberately rewrite them. How early experiences shape risk tolerance. Let's start with risk. Every trader knows risk management is key, but not every trader understands why it's so difficult to follow. The way you handle risk today has a lot to do with how you learned to handle uncertainty as a child. If you grew up in a home where money was scarce, where bills were a constant source of stress, you may have developed a deep fear of loss. That fear follows you into trading. Even small risks feel terrifying. You cut winners too early because you don't want to lose what you got. You avoid taking trades that actually fit your plan because deep down you're wired to associate risk with pain. On the other hand, maybe you grew up in an environment where money seemed to appear and disappear without much thought. Maybe your parents spent recklessly, or maybe you never saw financial consequences up close. That can wire you to underestimate risk, to chase big wins without thinking of the downside. You might over-leverage, over-trade, and treat the market like a slot machine, because that's what feels familiar. Scarcity mindset, fear of losing, and quick wins. Let's look at 3 common money wounds that show up in trading. 1. Scarcity mindset. If you were raised with the belief that there's never enough, you may hoard profits, close trades early, or feel constant anxiety even when you're winning. You operate in fear, never in confidence. 2. Fear of losing. If losing money was always punished or shamed in your childhood, you may struggle to take healthy risks. You avoid losses at all costs, even if that means sabotaging your long-term strategy. Ironically, this fear often makes you lose more because you let losers run, hoping they'll turn around. 3. Obsession with quick wins. If you grew up in a household where instant gratification was the norm, you might chase fast profits. Every trade feels like it must be a home run. Patience feels unbearable. You treat trading like a sprint, not a marathon. These patterns aren't logical. They're emotional. And because they're emotional, they override even the best strategies. Trading as a mirror of emotional wounds. Here's something you might not want to hear. Trading is one of the purest mirrors of who you are. The market has no emotion, no agenda, no memory. It simply reflects your deepest fears, desires, and habits back at you. If you struggle with patience, the market will expose it. If you have unresolved fears around losing, the market will test them. If you've built your identity on chasing excitement, the market will amplify that impulse until it destroys you. This is why so many people describe trading as an emotional roller coaster. It's not the market making you feel that way. It's the wounds inside you, coming alive under pressure. Childhood scripts that dictate your money habits. Psychologists talk about something called money scripts. These are unconscious beliefs we inherit from parents, family, or early experiences. They act like invisible programs running in the background of your mind. Here are a few common ones. Money is scarce and I'll never have enough. If I lose money, I'm a failure. Big risks always pay off. I'm not good with money. If I make money, someone will take it away. Do any of those sound familiar? These scripts can be subtle but powerful. If you were told money doesn't grow on trees 1,000 times as a kid, don't be surprised if you approach every trade with fear and anxiety. If you grew up watching one parent gamble the paycheck, you may unconsciously replicate that pattern in the markets, even if you swore you'd never be like them. Until you identify and rewrite these scripts, they will continue to shape your trading decisions without your permission. A story of hidden programming. Consider Sarah, a trader who always closed her winners too early. No matter how many times she told herself, "Let your winners run," she couldn't do it. Every time her trades were in profit, she panicked and exited. When she dug deeper, she realized that growing up, her parents had lost their home during a financial crisis. The moment money came in, her family lived in constant fear it could disappear. Sarah carried that same fear into her trading. Holding a winning position felt unbearable because deep down she believed it would vanish. Once Sarah connected her trading behavior to her childhood wiring, she began to reframe it. She reminded herself, "That was my parents' story, not mine. I can write a new one." With practice, she slowly built the ability to hold trades longer, not because of willpower, but because her identity around money began to shift. Exercises identify your money story? Now it's your turn. To truly understand your trading psychology, you need to uncover your money story. Pause after this section and take some time to reflect. 1. Think back to your earliest memory of money. What emotions do you remember? Fear, scarcity, abundance, excitement? 2. What messages did you hear growing up? Did your parents say things like, "We can't afford that," or "Money is the root of all evil," or "Easy come, easy go"? 3. How did your family handle financial wins and losses? Were wins celebrated? Were losses punished or hidden? 4. What story about money do you carry today? Write down 1 or 2 sentences that describe your current beliefs, even if they sound irrational. For example, "I always mess up when money's involved," or "I can only make money through hard struggle." 5. Ask yourself, is this story serving me as a trader, or is it sabotaging me? The goal isn't to judge your story, but to recognize it, because once you see the script, you can start to rewrite it. Nin's closing thoughts. Trading doesn't just test your knowledge. It tests the invisible scripts you've carried since childhood. If you don't face them, they'll control you. But if you confront them, you gain the power to change them. Remember this: you are not your past. You are not your parents' mistakes. You are not the fearful child who grew up watching money disappear. You are a trader, and you have the power to rewrite your story. The market is your mirror. What you see in it is what's inside you. And the first step to mastery is having the courage to look closely at the reflection. Chapter 3. Addiction to Trading. The dopamine trap. Most traders think they're in the markets to make money. But if we're brutally honest, many aren't chasing profit. They're chasing a feeling. That feeling is excitement, the rush of possibility, the thrill of risk. It's the same rush that keeps gamblers glued to slot machines, poker tables, and lottery tickets. And in trading, that rush has a name: dopamine. The truth is, for many traders, the market isn't just a place to grow wealth. It becomes a casino, an escape, and an emotional drug. And like any drug, it can hook you until you can't tell the difference between rational decision-making and raw compulsion. Trading as emotional gambling. Let's strip away the screens, the candlesticks, and the complex strategies for a moment. At its core, trading is placing a bet on uncertainty. You risk something now, hoping for a payoff later. There's nothing wrong with that. That's the nature of markets. But the danger begins when the emotional payoff becomes more important than the financial one. Think about the last time you placed a trade that wasn't in your plan. Maybe you chased a setup. Maybe you jumped in just because you were bored. In that moment, was it really about making money? Or was it about feeling something? The difference between a professional trader and an addicted trader is simple. The professional sees trading as a business. The addicted trader treats it like a game. The neuroscience, dopamine, hits from wins and near wins. Here's where science comes in. Dopamine is a chemical in your brain that creates feelings of anticipation and reward. It's not just released when you win, it's released even more powerfully in moments of uncertainty. When you place a trade, your brain gets flooded with dopamine. Not because you know you'll win, but because you might. That maybe is intoxicating. And it gets worse. Studies on gamblers show that near misses when you almost win trigger even stronger dopamine spikes than actual wins. That means you could lose a trade, but if it felt close, your brain still rewards you with a chemical hit. That's why losing traders keep coming back. Their brains aren't addicted to winning. They're addicted to the possibility of winning. The slot machine cycle. This is what I call the slot machine cycle of trading. 1. You enter a trade. Dopamine floods your brain. 2. You win big and the rush is incredible. 3. You lose, but it felt close, so your brain tricks you into trying again. 4. You chase the high, placing more trades, bigger trades, reckless trades. 5. Eventually, your account suffers, but your brain keeps whispering, one more spin, one more trade. Sound familiar? This is the exact same cycle that keeps gamblers glued to slot machines, casinos, and lottery tickets. The outcome doesn't matter as much as the emotional rush of playing. And here's the terrifying part. The brain of a trading addict and the brain of a drug addict light up in the same way under scans. Different behavior, same neurological loop. Why traders chase the high, not the profit. Now you understand why traders sabotage themselves. It's not because they're stupid. It's not because they don't know better. It's because their brains are literally wired to crave the high over the profit. If you've ever caught yourself saying, just one more trade, I know I shouldn't, but I'll try anyway. I'll risk more this time to get it all back. That's not logic speaking. That's addiction. That's dopamine driving your behavior while your rational brain takes the back seat. The addicted trader thinks they're chasing profits, but what they're really chasing is chemistry. And until they admit it, they'll stay stuck in the loop. Breaking the cycle. So how do you break free? How do you stop trading for the high and start trading for the business? Step 1 is awareness. You must admit the truth. Sometimes you trade not to make money, but to feel something. That honesty is the crack in the armor of addiction. Step 2 is reframing. You must shift how you see trading. Stop treating it like entertainment and start treating it like running a business. Ask yourself, would a business owner risk their entire budget on one roll of the dice? Would a business owner make decisions because they were bored or emotional? Would a business owner keep running a system that loses money just because it's exciting? Of course not. A business owner plays the long game. They track expenses, measure performance, and keep emotion out of decisions. That's how you must see trading if you want freedom. Step 3 is replacement. Addiction doesn't vanish in a vacuum. You must replace the rush of random trading with the satisfaction of structured trading. Find your dopamine in the process, not the gamble. Celebrate following your plan, not just winning a trade. Feel proud when you journal consistently, when you stop at your daily limit, when you pass on a bad setup. That's how you rewire your brain. By associating dopamine with discipline, not randomness. A story of escape. Let me share a quick story. Marcus was a trader who couldn't stop overtrading. He knew his strategy worked, but he always took trades outside the plan. He said he felt bored if he wasn't in the market. One day his mentor told him, "You're not a trader right now, you're a gambler. You're addicted to the rush." It hit Marcus hard, but he knew it was true. He decided to treat trading like a business. He created a trading schedule with defined hours, limits, and breaks. He rewarded himself not for wins, but for following the process. Slowly, the addiction lost its grip. Marcus still felt the old urges sometimes, but now he could see them for what they were. Dopamine cravings, not trading opportunities. That awareness gave him power. Closing thoughts. Trading addiction is real. The dopamine trap is powerful, but it doesn't have to control you. Remember this, the market isn't your entertainment. It isn't your escape. It isn't your casino. The market is a business, and you are the business owner. When you stop chasing the high and start chasing the process, everything changes. You stop burning accounts. You stop sabotaging yourself. You begin to trade with clarity, patience, and power. The addicted trader loses, even when they win. The professional trader wins, even when they lose. The difference is not strategy, it's how they relate to the dopamine trap. So the next time you feel that itch to trade just for the thrill, pause. Ask yourself, am I trading for profit or am I trading for a hit of dopamine? That question might just save your trading career. Chapter 4. The War of Three Brains. Every time you sit down at your trading desk, there isn't just one you making decisions. There are three. Inside your head, three very different brains are competing for control. And whichever one wins in the heat of the moment often decides the fate of your account. Understanding this inner war is the key to mastering yourself as a trader, because no matter how much strategy you learn, no matter how many charts you analyze, if the wrong brain takes over, you'll sabotage everything. Let's meet your three brains. The survival brain, fear, greed. The oldest brain you have is the survival brain. This is the part of you that evolved to keep your ancestors alive when the world was dangerous. It's fast, automatic, and focused only on two things: avoiding pain and chasing reward. In trading terms, that means fear and greed. Fear makes you close trades too early, terrified of losing your tiny profit. Greed makes you hold trades too long, chasing that one big move that rarely comes. Fear stops you from taking valid setups. Greed pushes you to risk too much, doubling down when you shouldn't. The survival brain doesn't care about your trading plan. It only cares about keeping you safe in the moment, even if that safety ruins your long-term success. The emotional brain. Impulses, reactions. Layered on top of survival is the emotional brain. This is where your impulses, moods, and reactions live. The emotional brain isn't about life or death survival, but about how you feel. It's the part that makes you chase revenge trades when you're angry, overtrade when you're bored, or jump into setups just because you feel FOMO. Have you ever taken a trade just because you couldn't stand watching the market move without you? That's not logic. That's pure emotional brain. The emotional brain is like a teenager behind the wheel, powerful, energetic, but reckless without supervision. The logical brain, strategy, discipline. Finally, we have the logical brain. This is the newest part of your evolution, the part that can think long-term, follow rules, weigh probabilities, and stick to strategy. This is the part of you that builds your trading system, journals your trades, and plans risk management. When the logical brain is in control, you trade like a professional. calm, patient, disciplined. But here's the problem. The logical brain is slower. It takes effort. It doesn't react instantly like survival or emotional brain. And in the heat of trading, when money is moving and your heart is racing, the logical brain often gets drowned out by the louder, older brains. Why survival brain overrides logic. Here's the brutal truth. When money is on the line, your survival brain often hijacks the wheel. Imagine this. You're in a perfectly good trade, and suddenly it goes slightly against you. Your plan says, hold, this is normal volatility. But your survival brain screams, danger, get out before you lose it all. And before you know it, you've closed early, sabotaging your edge. Or worse, you take a loss, and your survival brain whispers, we need to get that back right now. Double the size. Chase it. Suddenly you're in revenge mode, your logic completely gone. Your brain literally reacts to losing money as if it's losing blood. Studies show financial loss activates the same areas of the brain as physical pain. No wonder survival takes over. It thinks you're under attack. The chess versus tiger analogy. Think of it this way. Trading with your survival brain engaged is like trying to play chess while being chased by a tiger. Chess requires calm, logical, step-by-step thinking. But if a tiger is lunging at you, your body doesn't care about strategy. It just wants to run, fight, or freeze. That's exactly what happens in trading. Your logical brain is trying to play chess with charts, patterns, and probabilities. But your survival brain thinks every trade is a tiger attack. So it hijacks control and forces you into fight, flight, or freeze mode. That's why you make irrational decisions under stress. It's not because you're weak, it's because your brain is wired for survival, not trading. Case study, losing discipline under stress. Let me tell you about Sarah, a swing trader. Sarah had a solid system. She risked 1% per trade, had a clear plan, and usually stuck to it. But every time she hit a losing streak, something snapped. After 3 red trades in a row, Sarah would suddenly triple her risk. She told herself she was just being confident, but really her survival brain was panicking. It saw those small losses as an existential threat and forced her to fight back. The result? She wiped out weeks of gains in a single bad day, over and over again. Sarah didn't have a strategy problem. She had a brain problem, and once she understood that, everything changed. Practical hack: engage the logical brain before trading. So how do you win the war of the 3 brains? You can't eliminate your survival or emotional brain. They're hardwired, but you can create habits that activate your logical brain before you trade. Here are a few practical hacks. 1. Pre-trading ritual. Before you open the platform, spend 5 minutes journaling your emotions. Label how you feel: anxious, bored, excited. Just naming emotions reduces their power and gives your logical brain a head start. Rewire. 2. Breathing reset. Take 10 slow breaths before placing any trade. This calms the survival brain and gives logic time to step in. 3. Decision delay. Force yourself to wait at least 60 seconds before entering any trade. That 1-minute pause interrupts impulsive reactions and re-engages logic. 4. If-then rules. Predefined responses. If I lose 2 trades, then I stop for the day. This locks in logic before emotions get a chance to override. 5. End-of-day review. Reward yourself not for wins, but for following your process. This trains your brain to associate discipline with success. These hacks aren't about suppressing your survival and emotional brains. You can't. They're about giving your logical brain the space it needs to take control. Closing thoughts. The war of the 3 brains is the invisible battle every trader fights. Most lose not because they lack knowledge, but because they let the wrong brain take over at the wrong time. But once you understand the roles of survival, emotional, and logical brain, you can see your behavior for what it really is. You're not crazy. You're not broken. You're just human. And humans can adapt. Remember, trading success doesn't come from killing your emotions. It comes from managing them. It comes from learning how to quiet the survival brain, calm the emotional brain, and give power to the logical brain. So the next time you feel fear, greed, or impulse pulling you into a bad trade, pause. Picture the three brains arguing inside you. And then ask, which brain do I want running my business right now? Choose logic, choose discipline, choose the trader you want to be. Chapter 5, The Science of Self-Sabotage. Here's a paradox most traders don't want to admit. They don't just fail because of bad strategies, lack of knowledge, or bad luck. They fail because on some level, they are comfortable failing. It sounds crazy, right? Who would prefer to lose money? But the truth is, your subconscious mind often chooses familiarity over growth. And if losing, sabotaging, or blowing up accounts is what feels familiar, your brain will drag you right back into that loop. This is the hidden science of self-sabotage, how repeated losses train the subconscious. Every trade you take leaves a mark on your subconscious mind. When you repeat the same behaviors over and over, cutting winners too early, revenge trading, risking too much, your brain wires those actions as habits. Your subconscious doesn't care whether those actions serve you or destroy you. It only cares about repetition. Think about brushing your teeth. You don't decide every morning, should I use toothpaste today? No, it's automatic. That's the power of habit. Now imagine you've lost 20 accounts by overtrading. That behavior, too, becomes automatic. It becomes a script your brain runs on autopilot. You don't consciously decide to self-destruct. Your subconscious simply says, this is what we do here. And once a pattern is ingrained, your brain resists breaking it. Why your brain records habits, not outcomes. Here's the kicker. Your brain doesn't actually record outcomes, it records behaviors. If you consistently do the wrong thing, but you do it often enough, your brain says, got it, this must be important. The brain's job is to automate repeated behavior to save energy. So if your repeated behavior is self-sabotage, your brain actually makes it easier for you to sabotage yourself in the future. That's why some traders can't stop making the same mistakes. They're not just fighting the market, they're fighting their own wiring. The comfort of failure. But it goes even deeper. Failure, for many traders, feels safe. Think about it. Success is unknown. Success is uncomfortable. Success creates pressure to maintain it, pressure to grow, pressure to perform. Failure, on the other hand, is familiar. You know what it feels like to blow up an account. You know what it feels like to be frustrated, angry, and disappointed. As painful as it is, it's predictable, and your subconscious loves predictability. So without realizing it, many traders unconsciously steer themselves back toward failure because it feels safer than facing the responsibility of success. It's like someone who always goes back to a toxic relationship. They don't want the pain, but the pain feels more familiar than the unknown of something healthier. Why some traders fear success. Here's something rarely talked about. Many traders aren't just afraid of losing, they're afraid of winning. Why? Because success changes your identity. It creates expectations. If you win, now you have something to lose. If you win, people start watching you, asking you for advice, holding you accountable. If you win, you can no longer hide behind excuses. That pressure terrifies many traders, and so they unconsciously find ways to blow themselves up before they have to face it. This is why some traders do everything right, build momentum, and then out of nowhere sabotage themselves. They didn't accidentally blow up. On a subconscious level, they wanted out. Ego, overconfidence, and the sabotage loop. Another major driver of sabotage is ego. The ego whispers, you're smarter than the market. You've mastered it now. You don't need rules anymore. And so the trader throws risk management out the window. They go all in on setups that can't fail. They stop journaling, stop reviewing, stop respecting process. And when the inevitable loss comes, it wipes them out. The ego doesn't just sabotage it, sets you up to fall as dramatically as possible, because for the ego, humiliation is better than humility. Story: the trader who escaped winning. Let me tell you about Daniel. Daniel had been trading for 5 years. He had studied every strategy, taken every course, and finally, after years of struggle, he began to win consistently. Month after month, he grew his account. But then something strange happened. Every time Daniel got close to a new profit milestone, he would blow up. At $10,000 profit, he took a reckless, oversized trade. Account gone. At $20,000 profit, he over-leveraged on a single news event. Account gone. At $30,000 profit, he ignored his stop losses entirely. Account gone. It didn't make sense until Daniel realized he was sabotaging himself. Deep down, Daniel was terrified of becoming a successful trader. He was afraid of what it would mean for his identity, for how his family saw him, for the pressure it would put on him to keep performing. So his subconscious solved the problem. It sabotaged him before success could lock him into that new identity. Daniel didn't fear losing. He feared changing. The day he admitted that truth, everything shifted. He realized trading wasn't just about strategies. It was about rewriting the subconscious scripts that kept pulling him back into sabotage. Breaking free from sabotage. So how do you break free? 1. Awareness. The first step is admitting sabotage is real. Stop blaming the market. Stop blaming bad luck. Recognize when the enemy is you. 2. Pattern spotting. Look at your trading journal. Do you self-destruct after big wins, after losing streaks, before milestones? Find the sabotage triggers. 3. Rewire your habits. Remember, the brain records behavior. Start rewarding yourself not for outcomes, but for following process. Replace sabotage with structure, again and again, until the habit sticks. Or 4. Redefine success. Stop fearing success as pressure. Redefine it as freedom of time, freedom of choice, freedom from fear. Make success feel safe to your subconscious. 5. Kill the ego daily. Every morning remind yourself, the market owes me nothing. I am a student, not a master. This simple reset keeps you humble and keeps sabotage in check. Closing thoughts. Self-sabotage is the invisible hand that destroys more traders than any bad strategy. It's not random, it's not weakness, it's science. Your brain records habits, not outcomes. It clings to familiarity, even if that familiarity is failure. It fears success because success demands responsibility, and it uses ego as the sharpest tool to bring you down. But here's the truth. You can rewrite the script. You can train your brain to find comfort in discipline instead of destruction. You can build habits of patience, resilience, and process. The day you stop sabotaging yourself is the day trading finally becomes what you always wanted it to be. Not chaos, not frustration, but mastery. So the next time you're about to blow up your rules, pause. Ask yourself, am I escaping losing, or am I escaping winning? That question might reveal more about you than any chart ever could. Chapter 6. Practical Tools to Rewire Your Psychology. By now you understand the hidden patterns that run your trading life, the identity conflicts, emotional addictions, and subconscious sabotage loops. But awareness alone isn't enough. You can't think your way into new habits. You must train your mind the same way you train a muscle. This chapter is about practical tools, simple, powerful techniques to help you rewire your psychology from reactive to consistent, from emotional to professional. And just like building a trading edge, these tools only work if you practice them daily. The power of repetition. Before we dive in, let's make something clear. Your brain doesn't change through information. It changes through repetition. Listening to this audiobook won't change your psychology. Doing the exercises repeatedly will. Your subconscious learns only by doing. So think of this chapter as your mental training plan, not theory, but practice. 1. Journaling emotions. After every trade, most traders journal their entries, exits, and results. But few journal their emotions, and that's where the real data lies. When you document how you felt before, during, and after a trade, you begin to see emotional patterns you can't see in numbers. Here's how to do it. After every trade, ask yourself 3 simple questions. 1. Before entry, what was I feeling before I took this trade? For example, bored, anxious, confident, pressured. 2. During the trade, what emotions did I feel while the price was moving? Fear, greed, excitement, panic. 3. After exit, how do I feel about the outcome? Relief, regret, pride, frustration. At first it might feel silly, but over time patterns emerge. You'll notice that certain emotions consistently lead to bad decisions. You'll see when you trade for dopamine instead of logic. Your journal becomes a mirror, and awareness kills automatic behavior. Pro tip: don't judge the emotions, just record them. The goal isn't perfection, it's pattern recognition. 2. The pause technique before trade execution. This single tool has saved more trading accounts than any indicator ever created. The pause technique is about creating a small gap between impulse and action. That gap is where logic lives. Here's how it works. Before executing any trade win, lose, or revenge, take 5 slow breaths. Yatsun, as you breathe, silently ask, am I trading from plan or from emotion? If it's emotion, step back. If it's plan, proceed. It sounds simple, but this is neuroscience in action. Deep breathing activates your prefrontal cortex, the logical part of your brain, and quiets the emotional centers responsible for impulsive trades. Even a 15-second pause can be enough to shift control from your survival brain to your strategic brain. You're not fighting emotions, you're outsmarting them. 3. Identity visualization. I am a consistent trader. You don't act based on what you know, you act based on who you believe you are. If you see yourself as an inconsistent emotional trader trying to become disciplined, you'll always struggle. But if you reprogram your identity, if you see yourself as a disciplined trader who simply follows process, your actions will follow. Here's how to do it. Every morning before you start your trading session, close your eyes and visualize your ideal trading self in action. See yourself, calm, focused, following your rules. Closing the laptop early when your limit is hit. Accepting losses with composure. Logging trades in your journal, not reacting emotionally. As you visualize, repeat this affirmation out loud. I am a consistent, patient, and professional trader. My identity drives my actions. This isn't positive thinking. It's neural priming. Visualization trains your subconscious to recognize this identity as familiar. And remember, your brain always seeks what feels familiar. Over time, your behavior naturally aligns with your new self-image. 4. Emotional awareness. Training. You can't control emotions that you don't notice. The goal isn't to suppress fear or greed, it's to catch them before they act. Try this exercise. Throughout the trading day, check in with yourself every hour. Pause for 5 seconds and silently name what you feel. I'm anxious. I'm bored. I'm confident. I'm frustrated. That simple act of labeling the emotion shifts brain activity from the amygdala, the emotional brain, to the prefrontal cortex, the logical brain. It's like turning on the lights in a dark room. Suddenly, you can see what's driving you. If you notice emotions building, step away, walk, breathe. Let the chemical wave pass. Remember, emotions are temporary. Discipline is permanent. 5. Daily mental rituals for rewiring habits. Habits aren't just built through effort, they're built through rituals. If you want to rewire your psychology, you must design your day around consistency even outside trading hours. Here's a simple structure used by many professional traders. Morning routine. 10 minutes of stillness or meditation. 3 deep breaths before opening the charts. Review trading plan and affirm. Today, I trade my plan, not my emotions. Pre-market check-in. Rate your emotional state from 1-10. If above 7, stressed, tired, agitated, reduce size or skip trading that day. Taste post-market reflection. Journal, not just results, but emotions and decisions. Write 1 sentence of gratitude. Today, I'm grateful I followed my process. Evening reset. Visualize tomorrow's trading session, calm, focused, detached. Disconnect from screens and let your nervous system rest. You're not just training to trade better. You're training to become the kind of person who trades better. How long does it take to rewire? Neuroscience suggests it takes about 60 to 90 days of consistent effort to form new neural patterns. That means you won't feel the change immediately, but the transformation is happening beneath the surface. Each time you pause instead of reacting, journal instead of judging, visualize instead of fearing, you are literally rewiring your brain. And one day, what feels forced today will become effortless. A final story. There's a story about a trader named Luis. For years, Luis was a slave to his emotions, jumping into random setups, chasing losses, blowing accounts. He thought he needed a better strategy, but what he really needed was a better system for himself. So he started small, journaling emotions after every trade, 1 minute breathing before every entry, a simple affirmation every morning. At first, it felt mechanical, but after 90 days, something changed. He stopped reacting. He stopped chasing. He stopped panicking. One day, Luis realized something powerful. He didn't just have more control over his trading. He had more control over his life. That's what rewiring does. It doesn't just change how you trade, it changes who you are. Closing thoughts. Trading mastery is not built in the charts, it's built in the mind. If you can master these tools, journaling, pausing, visualizing, feeling, and ritualizing, you'll gradually transform your psychology from fragile to fearless. Rewiring doesn't happen in a single breakthrough moment. It happens in the quiet repetition of small, consistent actions. Remember, the market doesn't reward intelligence. It rewards emotional mastery. So start today. Journal your emotions, take the pause, speak your identity. Train your brain like you train your strategy patiently, daily, relentlessly. Because once your psychology is rewired, discipline stops being something you try to do. It becomes who you are. Chapter 7. Building the Trader's Identity. If you've ever told yourself, I just need to be more disciplined, you've already missed the real problem. Because discipline isn't a skill, it's an identity. You don't try to be disciplined. You act consistently because you already see yourself as a disciplined person. This is where most traders get it wrong. They try to change behavior without changing identity. And when identity and behavior clash, identity always wins. In this chapter, we're going to explore how to rebuild your trader identity from the inside out. Not fake it till you make it, but train it till you become it. 1. Why habits follow identity. Let's start with a simple truth from James Clear's Atomic Habits. In essence, the most powerful way to change your behavior is to change your identity. In trading, that means shifting your self-concept from, I want to be a successful trader. I am a disciplined, patient, and consistent trader. Every action you take reinforces one of these identities. When you stick to your stop loss, journal your emotions, or walk away after reaching your daily limit, you're casting a vote for the identity of a professional. And when you revenge trade, skip journaling, or break your plan, you're voting for the identity of an emotional amateur. The goal isn't perfection, it's accumulation. Every small act is a vote for the type of trader you want to become. Over time, those votes add up until one day you don't have to try anymore. You simply act in alignment with your identity. That's the real secret. Discipline becomes effortless when it matches who you believe you are. 2. The shift. I want to be. I am. Here's a question. When someone asks what you do you say, I'm trying to be a trader? Or do you say, I'm a trader? That single word trying keeps your subconscious stuck in uncertainty. It tells your brain, we're not that yet. And so your mind, your actions, your focus all operate as if you're still a beginner. But when you say, I am a trader, your subconscious adjusts its expectations. It begins filtering decisions through that new identity. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. Even before you've mastered the markets, start behaving like the trader you want to become. That means you follow process, not emotion. You accept losses without panic. You show up even when you don't feel like it. You manage risk like a professional protecting capital, not gambling for excitement. When you act as if you already are that trader, your identity begins to match your actions. This is how transformation begins, not through pressure, but through repetition. 3. Micro wins, the identity builders. You don't build identity through massive achievements. You build it through micro wins, small, repeatable victories that confirm your self-image. A micro win could be sticking to your stop loss, logging your trades right after closing them, walking away when your daily limit is hit, taking one deep breath before execution. Each of these moments whispers to your subconscious, "See, I'm doing it. I am this person." And that whisper becomes a voice, then a belief, then a new reality. The reason most traders never evolve is that they ignore these small wins, chasing the big ones instead. But mastery isn't built in giant leaps. It's built in quiet, consistent repetitions. So celebrate micro wins daily. They are the DNA of your new trading identity. 4. The power of affirmations. Visualization. Affirmations and visualization are not feel-good tactics. They're neural conditioning tools. Your brain doesn't distinguish between real and vividly imagined experiences. So when you consistently visualize your ideal trader self, you're training your brain to expect that version of you. Here's a simple morning ritual. 1. Close your eyes for 1 minute. 2. Imagine your future self calm, consistent, detached from emotions. 3. See yourself following your plan, logging your trades, walking away with confidence. 4. Say out loud, "I am a professional trader. I follow my plan. I master my emotions. I trade with patience and clarity." You don't need to believe it fully yet. Belief grows through repetition. Affirmations are not about lying to yourself. They're about reminding yourself who you're becoming. Every day you repeat them, you strengthen that neural pathway. And eventually, your brain stops doubting it. It accepts it as truth. 5. The professional athlete mindset. Think of trading like professional sports. A basketball player doesn't rely on motivation to show up for practice. They show up because that's who they are, a professional athlete. They don't expect to win every game. They expect to perform their best every time. They train their body and their mind daily so that when the game begins, they act automatically. That's how professional traders operate too. They know trading is not about being right. It's about performing well over time. They have routines, warm-ups, cool-downs, and reflection rituals just like athletes. They understand that their emotions are part of the game, but their job is to execute the plan, not the feeling. If you adopt that mindset, every trade becomes part of your training, not your worth. And that shift removes 90% of the stress most traders feel. You stop chasing perfection and start pursuing mastery. 6. Long-term consistency over short-term thrills. Here's the harsh truth. The market rewards consistency, not excitement. Most traders are addicted to adrenaline. They crave the thrill of quick wins, fast action, and emotional spikes. But professionals crave something different: stability. They know that one boring, disciplined week can build more wealth than a month of emotional gambling. Every time you choose calm over chaos, patience over impulsiveness, reflection over reaction, you're strengthening the neural circuit of consistency. And that consistency compounds over months, then years. This is how you become anti-fragile, unshaken by losses, detached from wins, always focused on process. Because identity-based traders don't seek excitement. They seek execution. And ironically, when you stop chasing the thrill, profits start chasing you. 7. The long game. Let's be honest. Identity building takes time. You won't wake up one morning and suddenly feel like a pro. It's a slow, steady evolution. But every repetition matters. Every morning, visualization. Every small act of discipline. Every honest journal entry. They're all laying the bricks of your future identity. And one day, you'll wake up, look at your trading habits, and realize something powerful. You've become the trader you once dreamed of being. Not because of luck, not because of a secret strategy, but because you built an identity that naturally produces consistent results. Final thought. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your identity. So stop trying to become a disciplined trader. Be one. Act as if it's already true and let your actions prove it every day. Because once your identity shifts, everything else follows habits, consistency, performance, profit. Trading then becomes more than charts and candles. It becomes a reflection of your evolution, a living proof that who you are inside determines what you achieve outside. Chapter 8. Mastery thinking in years, not days. Let's start with a simple but brutal truth. Most traders lose because they think in days, not in decades. They obsess over today's P&L, this week's results, this month's win rate. But mastery, real mastery, comes from zooming out. It comes from building consistency, patience, and emotional control that compounds over years. If you can't think beyond your next trade, you'll never survive long enough to experience what real success feels like. This chapter is about stepping out of the noise, silencing the daily chaos, and learning to think and trade in years, not days. 1. The long game. In the beginning, trading feels like a sprint. Every trade feels like life or death. Every red day feels like failure. Every green day feels like glory. But over time, you realize none of that actually matters. Because trading is not a one-day game. It's a lifetime marathon of decision-making. The professionals you admire didn't build wealth from a single trade. They built it from thousands of trades, executed with discipline over years. They understand that no single day defines them, only their trajectory does. Think about it like fitness. One workout won't transform your body, but 300 workouts over a year will. The same goes for trading. One loss, one mistake, one bad week, it's just a rep. It's part of the process of getting stronger, sharper, and wiser. When you play the long game, you stop chasing daily perfection and start focusing on long-term progress. 2. Why daily results don't matter. Here's a mindset shift that will free you forever. Your daily results are data, not judgments. They're not proof that you're good or bad, they're feedback from the system you're building. If you treat every losing day like a personal failure, you'll burn out. If you treat every winning day like proof you're invincible, you'll implode. The truth is, daily P&L doesn't define skill, consistency, a process does. Professionals don't ask, did I win today? They ask, did I follow my edge today? Because they know that if they repeat a good process long enough, results must follow. You can't control outcomes. You can only control execution. Once you internalize that, the emotional roller coaster ends. 3. The compounding power of time. Most traders underestimate what they can achieve in 5 years and overestimate what they can achieve in 5 months. But compounding isn't just about money. It's about skill, patience, confidence, and self-control. Every day you show up, log your trades, reflect honestly, and refine your system. You're compounding mastery. Even if your balance doesn't explode overnight, you are growing. You are building emotional capital, the invisible currency that separates winners from quitters. 1 year of disciplined trading can transform your psychology more than any course or mentor. 5 years can change your entire financial destiny. But only if you stop trying to win fast and start aiming to stay long. 4. The mindset of professionals versus amateurs. Let's draw a clear line between amateurs and professionals. Amateurs versus professionals. Focus on daily wins, losses. Focus on yearly growth and process. Trade to feel excitement, trade to execute edge. Seek validation from profits. Seek validation from discipline. Quit after drawdowns. Adjust and evolve through them. Fear boredom, master boredom. Professionals understand that boredom is a feature, not a flaw. When trading becomes boring, predictable, systematic, structured, that's when you're doing it right. Amateurs crave chaos because chaos gives them feeling. Professionals crave structure because structure gives them results. The difference is emotional maturity. And that maturity only comes from time in the trenches and reflection after the pain. 5. Patience, discipline, and resilience. The true superpowers. Everyone wants the secret strategy. But the real edge in trading is not found in algorithms or indicators. It's found in psychological endurance. Patience to wait for your setup. Discipline to follow your plan. Resilience to keep going after drawdowns. Most traders fail because they run out of emotional capital, not financial capital. They can't handle boredom. They can't handle uncertainty. They can't handle themselves. But if you master patience and resilience, the market becomes your mirror, not your enemy. Every losing streak becomes a lesson in control. Every boring day becomes a test of maturity. Every win becomes proof that your discipline is working. That's mastery. And like any mastery, it's built one repetition at a time. 6. Reframing losses as tuition, not punishment. Here's a powerful truth. Losses are not punishments, they're tuition. Every trade you take is part of your education. Some lessons cost more than others, but every loss carries wisdom if you choose to extract it. When you see losses as tuition, the shame disappears. You stop hiding from your mistakes. You start learning from them deeply, honestly, productively. Ask yourself after every losing trade, what emotion drove this decision? What can I improve next time? What pattern am I repeating? When you reflect instead of react, you turn pain into progress. Because the only bad loss is the one you refuse to learn from. And the only real failure in trading is giving up before your lessons compound. 7. The master's timeline. If you truly want to reach mastery, stop thinking in days. Think in seasons. Think in years. Your first year isn't about profits, it's about awareness. Your second year is about process. Your third year is about consistency. Your fourth year is about growth. Your fifth year is about mastery. When you zoom out like this, temporary pain loses its power. You stop measuring success by today's chart and start measuring it by who you're becoming. Mastery isn't a destination, it's a direction. You never arrive, you just evolve. 8. The calm after the storm. One day you'll wake up and realize something has changed. You no longer feel anxious about every trade. You no longer crave excitement. You no longer measure your worth by your win rate. You've become calm, grounded, unshakable. That's the sign you've entered the realm of mastery, not because you never lose, but because you've learned how to lose well. Losses don't define you anymore. They refine you. You finally understand that trading isn't about prediction, it's about process. It's not about being right, it's about staying consistent. And most importantly, it's not about the market. It's about you. Final reflection. Mastery isn't built in the thrill of victory or the pain of defeat. It's built in the quiet, disciplined repetition between both. When you start thinking in years, you stop needing to rush. You stop forcing trades. You stop comparing yourself to others. You find peace in progress. Because mastery isn't about trading better charts. It's about becoming a better you. So the next time you feel impatient, remember this. The amateurs think in days. The professionals think in years. But the masters, they think in lifetimes. Chapter 9. The routine of a master trader. Discipline is not built in moments of action. It's built in moments of preparation. Trading psychology is not something you understand once and keep forever. It's something you practice daily like meditation, fitness, or breathing. Every single trading day, the market gives you a mirror and your routine is how you make sure you're ready to face it. And this chapter is about turning all the psychology we've explored, mindset, identity, emotional control, into a repeatable rhythm. Because if you can master your routine, you'll automatically master your results. Let's break it down into 4 powerful phases. Morning ritual, pre-trade checklist, post-trade reflection, evening reset. And we'll end with your weekly review framework, the key to long-term consistency. 1. The morning mindset ritual primes your mind, not the market. Before you ever open your charts, You open your mind. Most traders start their day by checking overnight news, scanning for setups, or scrolling through Twitter. The master trader starts by checking themselves. Every morning, take 5-10 minutes for a ritual that centers you. Here's a simple framework. 1. Breathe 10 deep, conscious breaths. Slow your system. Calmness is your first edge. 2. See yourself trading with focus and discipline. Imagine the version of you who follows your plan perfectly, no hesitation, no emotion. 3. Speak identity, not outcome. I am a consistent, patient, and strategic trader. I trade probabilities, not emotions. 4. Set intentions. Instead of "I'll make X profit," say, "My goal is to follow my process perfectly today." This morning ritual doesn't just prepare your mind, it anchors your identity. You are reminding your subconscious who's in control before the market even opens. 2. The pre-trade checklist. Calm, clear, and objective. Before you hit the buy or sell button, you must check in with your state, not just your strategy. Think of this checklist like a pilot's pre-flight routine. Even if they've flown 1,000 times, they still go through it because one overlooked switch can crash the plane. Right, calm. In trading, that switch is your emotional state. Ask yourself, am I calm? Am I objective? Am I trading a setup or chasing a feeling? Did I follow my plan yesterday? Do I have emotional baggage today? Frustration, revenge, overconfidence? If any of those answers raise a red flag, pause. Walk away, reset. Remember, you are not rewarded for the number of trades, you are rewarded for the quality of your mindset before each one. You are not trading charts. You are trading your state of mind. 3. Post-trade reflection. Turning emotion into data. Every trader journals their trades, but few journal their emotions. After each trade, win or lose, take 2 minutes to note. What emotion did I feel before the trade? Did I follow my plan fully? Was I in control or reactive? What did I learn about myself from this trade? Here's the secret. Your trading journal isn't just about tracking strategy performance. It's about tracking you. When you do this consistently, you'll start to notice emotional patterns like, I always overtrade after my first win. I get fearful after 2 small losses. I break rules when I'm tired or distracted. Once you see those patterns, you can reprogram them. Because you can't fix what you don't observe. This is how traders evolve, not by changing strategies, but by refining their emotional system. 4. Evening reset, letting go of results. One of the hardest parts of trading psychology is knowing when to switch off. After the market closes, your brain wants to replay everything: the missed entries, the what-ifs, the losses. But that mental replay is just your dopamine cycle looking for closure. So here's your rule. Once the day is done, it's done. Close your charts, step away, reflect briefly, then reset. Ask, what did I do well today? What can I improve tomorrow? Then say this simple line aloud. Today is complete. I learned, I grew, and I release it. After that, move your body, exercise, stretch, walk, spend time with family. You are not a machine, you are a human. And recovery is a part of discipline. So, the market opens tomorrow, but your peace of mind must start tonight. 5. The weekly review: from randomness to rhythm. Every weekend you zoom out. Not just to analyze trades, but to analyze you. Here's a powerful template for your weekly review. 1. Emotional consistency. Rate your emotional control this week, 1 to 10. What triggered you most? What kept you balanced? 2. Process execution. Did you follow your trading plan daily? Where did you deviate and why? 3. Journal insights. What emotional patterns repeated? What behavior improved? 4. Mindset reset. What's your mental focus for next week? Example: trade less, be patient, focus on 1A+ setup. 5. Gratitude. End with gratitude for progress, not just profit. Thank yourself for showing up. That's what separates amateurs from professionals. This weekly ritual creates awareness, and awareness creates transformation. Because mastery is not found in the charts, it's found in your self-review. Bringing it all together. Your trading routine is not about perfection, it's about alignment. When your mind, emotions, and actions line up, consistency follows naturally. You don't need to fight discipline anymore. You just need a rhythm that makes discipline automatic. Over time, these daily and weekly rituals reshape your identity from the inside out. You stop reacting like a gambler and start operating like a professional athlete, calm, focused, deliberate. And here's the truth few people understand. The market rewards those who treat trading as a lifestyle, not a hustle. When your routine becomes sacred, your results will become inevitable. End of chapter 9. The routine of a master trader. The goal is not to trade perfectly. The goal is to trade consciously. Chapter 10. The spiritual side of trading surrender. Flow. Acceptance. When you stop trying to control the market, you finally begin to control yourself. For most traders, mastery is defined by skill strategy, discipline, analysis. But for the few who truly transcend the game, mastery means something deeper. It's not about winning trades. It's about winning yourself. This is the final layer, the spiritual dimension of trading. The point where discipline turns into detachment, where control dissolves into flow, and where trading stops being about money and starts being about freedom. 1. Why ultimate mastery means letting go of control. We spend so much time trying to predict, plan, and perfect. But the market doesn't care about our expectations. It doesn't owe us outcomes. And the more we try to control it, the more it exposes our need for control. True mastery begins when you accept one simple truth. You cannot control the market. You can only control your response. That's liberation, because once you stop forcing, you start flowing. Your actions become lighter, sharper, more intuitive. You no longer chase results. You express your edge naturally. It's like surfing. You can't command the wave, you align with it. The market is your ocean. The goal is not to dominate it, but to dance with it. 2. Flow state. When discipline meets detachment. Flow is the state every trader secretly seeks, that effortless rhythm where time disappears, emotions fade, and decisions feel automatic. It's not luck, it's not randomness. Flow happens when discipline and surrender merge. Discipline gives you the structure. Surrender gives you the freedom, and together they create clarity. You follow your rules but without fear. You accept losses but without shame. You take profits but without greed. You're simply present. That's the paradox. You win most when you stop trying to win, because your energy is no longer trapped in resistance. It's fully available for awareness. That's the real state of mastery when trading feels like breathing. You don't have to think. You just are. 3. The tools of surrender. Meditation, breathing, mindfulness. You can't force flow, but you can create space for it. Here are simple practices to bring spirituality into your trading rhythm. 1. Morning stillness. 5 minutes. Before you trade, sit in silence. Breathe deeply. Let your thoughts settle like dust in water. Feel your breath, nothing else. When your mind quiets, your intuition sharpens. 2. Breath between trades. When you feel tension rising, stop. Close your eyes. Inhale for 4 counts. Hold for 4. Exhale for 6. That single breath might save you from an impulsive trade. 3. Awareness. Journal. After trading, write not just what you did, but what you felt. Bring compassion to your own emotions. Judgment fades, awareness grows. 4. Evening gratitude. Before sleep, thank the market for what it taught you today. Even losses are lessons tuition for mastery. This daily gratitude turns frustration into flow. These small acts rewire your nervous system. They teach your brain that peace, not pressure, is your natural state. And when peace becomes your baseline, trading becomes art. 4. Trading as a spiritual mirror. Trading is the most honest mirror you'll ever face. It reflects your fear, greed, ego, impatience, everything you try to hide. And yet, it also reflects your potential patience, discipline, resilience, awareness. Every chart, every candle, every loss is an opportunity to meet yourself again. When you understand this, the market stops being an enemy. It becomes your teacher. The fear that once controlled you, it's now your training partner. The frustration that once broke you, it's now your compass. Because every emotional trigger points to a place inside you that's still seeking peace. The goal is no longer to beat the market. The goal is to know yourself through the market. 5. Success as inner peace, not just profit. At the highest level, trading stops being about numbers. It becomes about energy. You stop measuring success by your P&L and start measuring it by your state of mind. Did I stay calm? Did I follow my truth? Did I act with clarity and integrity? Then you've already won regardless of the outcome. Omar. Because real wealth is not in your account, it's in your awareness. Profit fades, awareness compounds. And that's the kind of return that can never be taken from you. Closing reflection. The trader's journey begins with charts, but ends with consciousness. You started this journey seeking control to master strategy, emotion, identity. But mastery revealed something greater. That surrender is not weakness. It's wisdom. The moment you stop trying to force the market, you enter the flow of it. The moment you stop chasing perfection, you embody presence. And the moment you stop seeking profit, you find peace. This is the essence of true trading mastery. Discipline without tension. Confidence without ego. Flow without fear. Trading is no longer something you do. It's something you are. Breathe deeply and let go. The market doesn't test you anymore. It reflects you. And what it reflects now is mastery. End of chapter 10. The spiritual side of trading: surrender, flow, acceptance. You were never trading the market. You were always trading yourself. Conclusion: the market is a mirror. Every chart you see is a reflection of yourself. Every candle, a pulse of your emotions. Every trade, a moment of truth. You began this journey looking outward at strategies, systems, and signals. But by now you've seen what every great trader eventually discovers. The real market isn't on your screen. It's inside you. The charts only reveal what's already within your fears, your habits, your discipline, your growth. The market is simply a mirror reflecting back the truth of your current state. And the moment you stop fighting that truth, you start evolving through it. The real battle is always within. When traders lose, they blame the market. When masters lose, they study themselves. Because the market never punishes, it simply responds. It responds to your patience, your preparation, your self-control. It rewards awareness, not prediction. And it humbles ego faster than anything else on earth. So remember this: every loss is feedback. Every hesitation is a mirror. Every overtrade is a message. And every moment you pause, breathe, and observe, you rise above your own chaos. That's the true victory, not in pips or dollars, but in presence. You don't trade markets. You trade yourself. Think of the market as a stage and your mind as the actor. The setups, the charts, the news, they're just props. But the real performance is your inner dialogue. Do you act from fear or from flow? From reaction or from awareness? That's what decides your result long before you ever click buy. You don't need more indicators. You need more inner clarity. You don't need to control the market. You need to know yourself. Because when your identity aligns with mastery, your decisions naturally follow. Every trade is a test of who you are becoming. Each trading day is not a competition, it's a conversation with yourself. The market will ask you questions. Can you stay patient while others panic? Can you stay humble while others get greedy? Can you remain centered when the chart moves against you? Your answers are not in words. They're in your actions. And every day, those actions shape the person you're becoming. Over time, you'll notice trading starts to feel less like struggle and more like meditation. And one, less about winning, more about becoming. Because that's what this journey was always meant to be. A path of transformation disguised as a financial pursuit. The final truth. At the end of it all, it's simple. The market doesn't create success, it reveals it. And that success begins long before your first trade. It begins in your beliefs, your discipline, your ability to stay calm in uncertainty. The greatest traders aren't those who control the market. They're the ones who've learned to control themselves. So when you look at your next chart, remember, you're not analyzing data. You're witnessing a reflection. And the clearer your inner world becomes, the clearer your trades will be. Final affirmation. I don't trade the market. I trade my mind. I don't chase profit. I create clarity. I don't seek control. I surrender to flow. I master myself. And the market follows. End of audiobook. The market is a mirror. May your next trade be calm, your mind clear, and your focus rooted not in outcome but in awareness.